and fellow travelers, and thank you for joining me on this 2020 no-buy journey. Alright, in today's video I am going to go over the looks I created with my duped Pat McGrath Mothership VII Divine Rose palette. And I took shadows from all of these palettes, and just to really quickly recap, I'll let you know what I used to dupe. So in this one we have Thick from the Melt 27 palette. We have Boss Lady, Poppin' Bottles, and Warehouse Party from the Melt Impulsive palette. And we have Sin from JD Glow Galaxy collection. Then I used Noblewoman and Royal Highness from the Queen of Hearts palette. I used Cosmic right there from the Pat McGrath Dark Galaxy palette. Skin Show Nude Glow from the Pat McGrath Mothership 1 Subliminal palette. And Astral Solstice from the Pat McGrath Mothership 6 Midnight Sun palette. And I just want to remind you that Skin Show Nude Glow and Astral Solstice are repeat shades in the Divine Rose palette. Now, the reason I did this again was because I am on a no-buy year. I started January 1st of 2020. And the Divine Rose palette was for sale last year in limited release, and it sold out very quickly. And recently it was announced on the Pat McGrath website that it will be for sale again on March 6th. And I'm just assuming that the Divine Rose palette is just going to be added as a permanent part of the Mothership lineup. I did do 7 looks with this palette. So let's just go ahead and get into the looks. I first want to mention that for every one of these looks, I laid down a base of ColourPop No Filter Concealer and the Rimmel Stay Matte Powder. Okay, so for Monday, President's Day, the first look that I created out of this palette, I used Thick all over the crease. I put Boss Lady all over my lid. I just packed it all over my lid with a small packing brush. And then I used Sin. I didn't use glitter glue with this, but I did kind of dip my finger in lightly and kind of tap it all over that Boss Lady and the Thick. And then I used Poppin' Bottles kind of in the center. And I forgot to mention that after I get through all of these looks, I will go through eyeshadow by eyeshadow and kind of give a little comparison of how I think that they performed compared to the Pat McGrath shadows in the Divine Rose. I'm pretty familiar with how the Pat McGrath shadows in the Motherships perform and how they're formulated based on where they are placed in the palette itself. So yeah, I liked this look that I created on Monday. It was a fun look. I wore it for that video in which I explained how I created this duped palette. So it was a little bit more elaborate and sparkly and darker than what I would normally wear to work, but it's one of those fun looks I love creating with these palettes, and I really liked it.
All right, I'm just blending Thick into the crease with a fluffy brush. Then I'm packing Thick all over my lids again with a small packer brush, blending it out. Put Boss Lady on my lower lids. Glitter glue and Warehouse Party packed all over my eyelids with my finger. Cleaning everything up, blending it, blending, cleaning up. Skin Show Nude Glow on my brow bone and inner corners. More blending. Mascara. Filter Concealer with some Rimmel Stay Matte. I'm taking thick on my lid and crease again with a different fluffy brush. Glitter glue and popping bottles on my lid. These looks are really easy. I like just using 2 shadows and just doing something in the crease all over the lid and then packing kind of a shimmer shade onto my lids for work. Alright, ColourPop No Filter Concealer again, Rimmel Stay Matte to set that down. Oh, this one was fun. I used Skin Show Nude Glow all over my lids with a fluffy brush, like I would a matte. I put a little bit of Boss Lady into my outer corner with a small packing brush, blended it out a bit. And then I put Cosmic all over my eyelids. You'll notice I didn't use glitter glue on this one because I just kind of put it all over my eyes. And I wanted it to be very light and diffuse. Really, really like this look.
All right, for Friday, which I'm dubbing Fun Eyeshadow Friday, which I'm thinking about starting a new little series on this channel of just pushing myself out of my comfort zone and wearing a little bit more daring eyeshadow on Fridays than I would normally to wear to work. So for this particular palette for this Friday, I used Royal Highness. And I used my finger to put that all over my lid and then buff that up into my crease with a fluffy brush. And I used this in kind of in the way that I would use a matte. I didn't use any mattes in this look. I then took the Astral Solstice and put a pretty hefty amount on my fingertip and just packed it all over my lid. And this shade is really kind of a chameleon. Like you can barely tell the difference between this and the Noblewoman. It just adds this gorgeous wet shine to my eyelid. This look, oh God, I loved it so much. And it lasted throughout the day. I mean, this palette right here, this Queen of Hearts palette is, it's almost 2 years old. I got it right when it first came out and it's still performing as well as the day I bought it. On Saturday, I used a wash of Boss Lady all over my lids and up into my crease. And then I just very lightly tapped my fingertip into Astral Solstice and then lightly patted that all over that wash of Boss Lady. And this look is rapidly becoming one of my favorite looks to create with these shadows in these palettes, in these Mothership palettes. Just a wash of one of the mattes and then one of the special shades, just very lightly kind of patted all over that. I love the mattes that have glitter sprinkled throughout them. If you put those mattes onto your eye, I think I have one actually. Yeah, okay, so I have one right here. This is one of the mattes, and I don't know how well you can see that, but it's a matte with the glitter in it. And once I put this on my eyelid and kind of use it as a normal matte, when you start buffing it out, all that glitter just disappears. However, this look that I've been kind of creating with these palettes, this wash of matte with one of these special shades, just a little finger dip of the special shades patted all over, that looks like the mattes that have the glitter in it. Hard to capture in pictures, but I think that this footage right here really captures how sparkly and delicate and beautiful this is. And like I said, this is rapidly becoming one of my favorite looks to create with these palettes. All right, the next look on Sunday. This look, I received inspiration from Mariah Leonard, and if I can figure out how, I will link that look in the description box. but I kind of went all out. I was trying to use the remainder of the shades that I hadn't really given any love to. So I created this pink and red just extravaganza, and I loved it. So the first thing that I did was take Noblewoman, and again I just spread that all over my lid with my finger and then buffed it with a fluffy brush into my crease. I then took the Skin Show Nude Glow with a fluffy brush and buffed that around the edges of the Noblewoman. I then took Cosmic from the Dark Galaxy and applied some glitter glue and just smeared that all over the Noblewoman, all over my eye. And that with the glitter glue just turned Cosmic into this, oh my God, it was so pretty. It was just this perfectly foiled, beautiful duochrome that looked like pink with a peach shift aluminum foil on my eyelids. Like, it was gorgeous. This look was perfect to do a little bit of laundry in and take a nap in, and it lasted pretty much all day. So now I just want to give my thoughts on how I think that these duped eyeshadows compare in performance and quality to ones that are in the Pat McGrath Divine Rose. Obviously, I've never seen the Divine Rose in person. I've never had the chance to swatch it. I have watched several swatch videos, so I kind of know how they perform. So let's just start right off the bat with the shades that are dupes within my collection, like exact dupes within my collection. The Skin Show Nude Glow, which is in, again, the Mothership 1 Sublime palette. Now, this is the first Pat McGrath palette that I ever purchased, and I think it's about 2 years old at this point. I think that this is performing just as well as it did when I first purchased it. Like, I can't tell any, decline in performance. The next exact dupe that I have in my collection is the Astral Solstice from the Mothership 6 Midnight Sun palette. And I would say that this is probably in my top 3 favorite Pat McGrath special shades out of all of my Mothership and kind of mini Mothership palettes. This color is perfect for me. The size of the glitter is perfect. How it just disperses across my lid from even the slightest touch with my finger and pat it across my lid is just magical. I love it. I'm so glad that I have it. However, I'm glad that I don't have 2 of these. I'm sure it will take an entire lifetime to go through this pan. And I just realized this, but I did have a 3rd exact dupe for one of the shades in the Divine Rose palette. I didn't realize this when I was creating the dupe palette. I only realized it a few days ago when I was going through some of the videos and the swatches, and the shade Rose Dusk, which I used Noblewoman from the Queen of Hearts to dupe. I did have that in the Mothership 2 Sublime palette. I have since rehomed that palette. I cannot believe that I rehomed one of my Pat McGrath Mothership palettes, and I'll get more into that in my check-in video. So I no longer do have that, exact dupe in my collection. So because of that, I can make a direct comparison between Rose Dusk and Noblewoman. And Noblewoman is a little bit more metallic and foiled, whereas Rose Dusk is a little bit more on the satin side. The other shade that I used in Queen of Hearts was Royal Highness, and I used that to do Sable Bronze. So just based on how Noblewoman performed in comparison to the Rose Dusk, I'm guessing that Royal Highness is a little bit more foiled and metallic than Sable Bronze. This is one of my favorite shades in my entire collection. It performed perfectly on my eyelids, even though this palette is 2 years old. All right, so next up, the matte dupes. So I chose Thick from the Melt 27 and Boss Lady from the Melt Impulsive. And I think you could see in that footage I showed of me applying both of these that they are gorgeous. I mean, these mats are beautiful. They just blend out so easily, like a dream. And even though my eyes were super dry and super flaky last week, like these still performed well. And I would actually maybe choose these over the Pat McGrath mats. Now, Pat McGrath mats are beautiful. I do struggle with some of the mats in some of the Mothership palettes. For a work day when I don't really have the time to work with a mat that might be a little bit fussy, I would go for the mats in my Melt palette. So Warehouse Party is the last dupe that I used in kind of what I consider the normal section of the Pat McGrath palettes. So this is a gorgeous shade. It's almost a duochrome and it has very fine micro glitter in it. And this micro glitter is special. It is green in dusty rose color with kind of a copper shift. So I very much enjoyed using this shadow. All right, so let's finish it off with the 3 special shade dupes I used, starting with Poppin' Bottles, which is also from the Melt Impulsive palette. And I used this one to dupe the Refined Gold 002. It does have a little bit more pigment. So the special shades in the Divine Rose palette, I'm assuming are a little bit heavier on the glitter and less heavy on the actual pigmented base. So this base is a gold with a kind of a pink and green shift. And then it also has a ton of this like multicolored micro glitter in it. One thing I will say about these 2 colors, and it reminded me why I kind of shy away from using that Impulsive palette, there is so much glitter fallout from these 2 shades, even using glitter glue. And I can't figure out how to minimize this. But then, once I really thought about it, like, fallout is just kind of this demonized thing, you know? In reality, for me, like, I don't wear foundation, I don't wear base products, I don't wear concealer under my eyes, and I do my eyes first, so maybe fallout from mattes, it's super easy for me to remove that. And I honestly don't mind a little bit of micro glitter on my cheeks and underneath my eyes. Like, I don't mind it when it looks like a little fairy like flew up to my face and sneezed on it. Like, I don't mind that. And I was thinking, like, if it were up to me, my daily makeup routine would be just like smearing an Elmer's glue stick all over my face and then dunking my face into a vat of micro glitter. But this was a little bit excessive for just everyday wear, and it was definitely more fallout than special shade in an actual Pat McGrath palette would create. All right, next I have the dupe for Iridescent Pink 003, which I did want to mention, that is also not unique to the Pat McGrath lineup. It can be found in her highlighter palette, which I do not have, so it would not have been a dupe in my collection. So I think that this shadow might be a little bit more sparkly than the Iridescent Pink 003 is. For the star of the show, I got this right before my new no-buy year started, and I have not yet done a 1 week, 1 palette challenge with this, but it will be coming up soon. I used Cosmic from this palette, and this shadow is so beautiful. I love it so, so, so much, and I think that it is a perfect dupe for the VR Rose Venus, just based on the other VR shades that I have in my collection. I love, love, love this shade. In fact, it's very, very similar I mean, it might even be the same as the VR Rose Nectar, which is in the Mothership 2, which again, I have rehomed, and I hope that her new mother loves her as much as I did. And also gives her more attention than I did. Overall, I loved doing this. This was so much fun. And like I said in the video that I posted of me, you know, going through my eyeshadows and coming up with this palette, I can't wait till there's another palette that I really want, that just pulls at my heart and pulls at my soul, that I just really want to buy, so that I can take out all my eyeshadow again and recreate it again. And I promise you that I will document that process. All right, so the next palette up in the lineup of my one palette, 1 week challenge is the Bronze Seduction. And I've already done this once. That week, I didn't take pictures because I was letting my eyelash extensions fall out and just getting used to having my natural eyelashes back. I'm going to be using this every day for a week, taking pictures of the looks that I create and then reporting back on those. I am wearing a look from this palette on my eyes today, and I love it. As always, I so appreciate you for watching, and I thank you to my recent new subscribers. I really appreciate every single one of you. I appreciate the comments that you're giving me. It's just good to know that I relate to somebody out there, that people are going through the same thing as I am. And yeah, I love it. So I will see you next time. Bye.
Open up, you OPN. Hit you on BBM. We should be closer than friends.